Hey Music World, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest record from Gorillaz. It's called The Mountain. If you don't know, Gorillaz are the virtual band formed by Damon Albarn in the early 2000s, and they've been at it for some time and have put out a lot of very classic, very nostalgic records that are near and dear to many of people's heart, and I certainly get it. I mean, early in the 2000s when Gorillaz first dropped their self-titled debut album, nothing felt gimmicky about this. This didn't seem like a cash grab or just, I don't know, nonsense. No, this seemed like a portal to an interesting virtual world. And while it's not my favorite record in their discography, it's a little bloated at times, I felt. It is impossibly hip, blending elements of trip-hop and alternative rock, dub, soul, and more. Dub, soul, and more. But it did give this album a very alive feeling to it, even if it wasn't my favorite. But, I mean, with the next few years, Gorillaz would put out some true blue classics. I mean, Demon Days, there's not many records from this era that I feel like have aged this well. And Plastic Beach might be pound for pound their best record. A very tragic one, too. But around The Fall, which was a free project that was released for Gorillaz fans clubs at the time, it's been released widely now, I really did notice some cracks at the seams here. Like, the lo-fi charm of this record does not feel intentional, and the songwriting is not that interesting either. But in the last few years, things have been a lot more hit and miss, I feel like. You know, they took a very long hiatus. Gorillaz returned with Humans, which, not for nothing, has a lot of great tracks on there, and some incredible guest features from Mavis Staples and Pusha T and Vince Staples and Danny Brown. But it also had some incredibly low lows. And the Now Now, which followed that up, I genuinely think it's their worst record. After all these years, I can't tell you the first thing about it. But their Song Machine Season 1 project, while not perfect, I thought was a very colorful and fun collection of tunes with some great features. And 2 years ago when we heard from them with Cracker Island, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it also wasn't good. It just kind of existed once again. It's been a while since Gorillaz have put out something truly consistent from start to finish. Now, leading up to this record, it sounded like all bets were off. I mean, the feature list just kept growing and growing by the day, and the sounds in these early singles were epic. And now it's time to chat about if they actually get there this time around. This album kicks off with The Mountain, and it does set the atmosphere really nice. It sounds like you're listening to a very lush orchestral score to a very artsy animated movie. It's warm, it's mystical, and it is almost fully an instrumental. But it's nearly 5 minutes of world building and atmosphere and feeling, and it's done really well. Really do love the Moon Cave as well. This doubles down on the cinematic edge of this record. This is where this album really starts coming together, and it's not just an impressive list of features. It's funky, it's synth heavy, it's moody. Now, a lot of this album, I will say, it does feel like a spiritual successor to Plastic Beach. Especially when you get to tracks like The Happy Dictator, which I've enjoyed since it dropped as a single. This one features sparks, legends that are sparks, and it is upbeat, it is quirky, it is odd. But honestly, the odd joy of this track really does fit the album's narrative. Now, I don't want to go too deep in on the narrative. I feel like in narratives like this, it's best for the listener to listen for themselves. But this is what Gorillaz do best. Playful hooks with kind of snarky lyrics. It's great. I love how blissful Orange County is. I love how hypnotic this whistle melody is, and this track is just so breezy and feel good. It's not lazy, but I love the way that this track floats on and just sounds like sun peering through some clouds. And The God of Lying, initially I was underwhelmed with this as a single. It grew on me a lot. This one features idols, and it's a strange lurching track that just sounds evil. This track also has a ton of swagger. It just sounds like a cartoon drunk wobbling its way home. But there is a swagger here, and I love how dangerous this track comes off. And it shows just how the masterminds behind this record really did go far as adding some emotional depth to this record. I do also want to salute the countless, and I do mean countless, features of this record. Every track has probably 3 to 4 features of it, and honestly, it's kind of hard to shout them all out. I'd be here all day, but a lot of them do bring their A game. However, I will say, once again, this is a long record, and at times I think it's a little bit too long of a record. This thing is over an hour. far. The hardest thing early on does sort of halt the momentum. It's just so short and low-key and feels like a detour to a record that hasn't really started going yet. And I do want to point out, I feel like the last portion and last chunk of this record is really pretty weak when you get to tracks like Casablanca, The Shadowy Light, The Sweet Prince, as well as The Sad God. I mean, I don't know, at this point I'm just so saddened out. The mood still feels very heavy and dramatic, but it all also comes off a little rehashed. Even strong performers on this record like Black Thought just sound completely out of it by the end of this track. It really does drag. Album, it really does drag. And they're not unlistenable, they're just foggy and just kind of blend in with a lot of their surroundings. It's just not my favorite portion of this record. However, for the most part, this pretty much is the cinematic record that Gorillaz I didn't know they had in them. Like the Empty Dream Machine, love this track. I love the gloomy beat and the haunted atmosphere on this track. Themes of death and grief just continue to overflow on this record, and its constant seemingly nods to Indian classical music honestly make this even more of a therapeutic journey. The Manifesto, this track is a monster. It's 7 minutes plus, and it's one of my favorite singles they dropped leading up to this thing. It's genuinely progressive, it's long, it really does have room to breathe. The hook is just so unbearably catchy. Honestly, it's Gorillaz at their most theatrical that I've heard them in a really long time. Plastic Guru is one of the more oddly joyous tracks here, but it also feels like a mission statement, especially in such a sorrow-filled record. It also has this big sing-along hook, seemingly pushing grief further. Late album track that feels essential. Also, Delirium is really good too. This is genuinely one of the oddest tracks on this record, and a strange inclusion featuring Marky Smith of The Fall. It's got these very freaky, kinetic post-punk vibes, but it also has some post-disco nods on that hook, which is really memorable. It feels unhinged, but in the most playful way. It's sharp, it's unexpected, and it absolutely works. And Damascus might be the emotional release that this album needs. Personally, I've always thought Gorillaz and Yassine Bey have a great rapport and have always had great chemistry on each other's stuff, and Omar Souleyman on this hook is absolutely unstoppable. I mean, after so much gloom, it just sounds good to have just a very freaky and fun track once again. And you know what? I'm just gonna say it, even though this wasn't my favorite Gorillaz record, it's easily one of their more memorable ones in a while. I could see people chatting about this a few years from now. Mostly my issues come with its length. It's once again a little bloated, and when it gets to that ending stretch, it's really tough to get through. It slogs, it just sounds rehashed, and I just wish that it was just maybe a little bit more cohesive. Still though, I'm impressed with most of this record. It sounds like they are back in that mind frame of coming up with something that's more than just a list of features and fun tracks. This is cinematic, it is emotional, and it's definitely worth your time. I'm feeling a decent 7 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.